U.S. Code Title 50. And this lives in the National Register, and it is all of the elements that have been codified and made into law regarding anything to do with warfare. We have Council of National Defense, Board of Ordnance and Fortification, alien enemies, espionage, photographing, sketching, mapping, etc., disclosure of classified information. You get the idea. This goes on for quite a while. Jimmy, roll 220 siders and pick a category.
Do the atomic weapons.
You want to do atomic weapons?
National defense contracts.
Atomic weapons and special nuclear materials, information, and rewards. Any questions you have about the United States and the laws revolving around warfare in the country are all in U.S. Code 50. This is where everything lives. Information concerning illegal introduction, manufacture, acquisition, or export of special nuclear or atomic. Oh, wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that information concerning illegal introduction, manufacture, acquisition, or export of special nuclear material or atomic weapons or conspiracies relating thereto? Any person who furnishes original information to the United States, leading the finding or other acquisition, etc., with respect to the introduction or attempted introduction to the United States, with respect to the export or attempted export or conspiracy to export special nuclear material or atomic weapons from the United States,
uranium,
shall be rewarded by payment. This is... You can get $500,000 if you comp somebody else's nuclear weapons program and turn it over to the United States.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying though is Hillary Clinton.
I was just about to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she got away scot-free.
Yes.
And I don't believe she was mentioned in any pardons.
She was not. We checked right away when he started issuing pardons.
Yeah, no, is there a statute of limitations on sedition or treason?
No.
All right.
No,
there
is not.
That bitch in fucking jail.
Yeah. Yep. So, Chapter 4C of U.S. Code, if you can figure out a way to comp another country's nuclear weapons program, the United States will award you $500,000 and go. Let's see here. Let's go down a little further and go to, oh, look at this. National defense contracts. I bet this is juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Authorizations, official approvals, congressional action, restrictions. Let's try restrictions. Nothing in this chapter should be construed to constitute authorization hereunder for the use of cost plus percentage system for contracting, contract in violation of existing laws, negotiation of purposes or contract, waiver of any bids, formalization of any. This is an odd piece. Waiver of any. The amendment of a contract.
I bet you 10 to 1. A majority of these defense industry contracting companies are not following the letter of the law. And
I would wager that's so. That's why I clicked this here. Apparently, these contracts are negotiated under Title 10 or Title 41. Those are where the contracts are negotiated.
The Title 10 is active duty, I believe.
I believe you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I know you guys are like, this is so boring, you guys. What we're trying to show you is we are so good at warfare as a bunch of evil hairless monkeys. We actually have a whole book of laws and regulations revolving around it.
Title 10 as well.
Yep.
2 books, essentially. I want to go through this, and you'll see that I'm going through this very fast. I'm pounding through this one just because I want you to know where it is and what to look up and what is available out there. I'm not trying to teach you all of Title 50. It took me years to study a couple of chapters from this shit.
Yeah.
Military selective service, for example. Short title, Congressional Declaration of Policy. I am not sharing the screen. Where'd Jimmy go?
Oh, there he is. He's all right.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Bounties for induction substitutes purchase of release. U.S. Code Section 3807. No bounty may be paid to induce any person to be inducted into the armed forces. That's not quite true. A clothing allowance is authorized by law. Authorized by law is not a bounty for purposes of this section. No person liable for training and service under this act may furnish a substitute for this training or service. No person may be enlisted, inducted, etc., etc., etc. I got a bonus for bringing a guy in when I went in, which is kind of like a bounty, to be completely honest. Yeah.
I got jammed up for the AR RAP program where I think they paid you $2,200 for every person you brought in.
It's bounties.
Yeah.
It's bounties. Selective service, separation from service, offenses and penalties. This should point back to what is called UCMJ. Any member of selective service, person charged herein, provided with the duty of carrying out provisions of this chapter, etc., etc. Any false, improper, or incorrect registration classification. I bet this is what the MRAP was tied to.
Yep.
This is interesting. 50 U.S. Code 3811. Yeah, it's for selective service. I'll bet this is one of the things they use to roll people up. Making or possessing a false identification or representation, forgery, destruction, and mutilation of certificates, etc. Statute of limitations. Interesting. Let's go back and find a more fun one.
Let's see. War claims.
War claims. What chapter is that?
Yeah, 51.
51, thank you. Title 1 of War Claims Act of 1948. What is this? Let's go with Foreign Claims Settlement Commission. Foreign Claims Settlement Commission of the United States may, in accordance with the provisions of the Civil Service and 51, this is, what is all of this?
I think this is where they pay you if you damage civilian property or something, or war crimes.
Let's go back to claims of employees and contractors. This is a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, man. This is like the contract law that I was working in freaking almost 20 years ago.
Oh, don't tell.
What just happened there?
All right, my bad.
It was a misfire. It was a misfire.
This fucking mouse. I need to get a new mouse.
Secure that weapon, soldier.
10-4.
Make sure your safety is on at all times. Security of labor is authorized to receive, educate according to the law, and provide for the payment of any claim filed by a person specified in Section 110, 101A of the Act, an act to provide benefits for the injury, disability, death, or enemy detention of employees and contractors of the United States. Oh, this would have applied to the contractors that got rolled up in Iraq, that got kidnapped in Iraq.
Yeah.
Cancellation of employees' obligations, repayment to employees is, this is a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. We're not going to go through that one there. That doesn't strike me as a lot of fun. War Claims Fund. This is hereby created on the books of the Treasury of the United States, a trust fund to be known as the War Claims Fund. War Claims Fund shall consist of all sums covered into the Treasury pursuant to the provisions of 4336. The monies in such fund shall be available for expenditure only as provided in this chapter. Estimation and certification. What does this do?
Well,
basically, there's a lot of reading to be done here.
For instance, when I was in Iraq, basically, we were taking 4-inch mortar fire into Abu Ghraib prison on the regular. Now, typically, we would get 60 millimeter or 80 millimeter mortars, which those are pretty bad. But the 4-inch ones were exceptionally dangerous because they'd actually come through the roof and blow up in buildings, and they just fuck a lot of people up. And they kept coming. What?
Okay, coming through the mortar, fuck a lot of people up.
Yeah, so, I was the NCOIC of security for the entire prison complex.
Yeah.
So, we had the Q-36 radar, gave us a 6-digit grid to where the mortar fire was coming from.
Counter battery radar, yeah.
Yeah, and I rolled out there with the QRF, and you can literally see where the mortar plate was, and it was right out in front of this dude's fucking farm. Right in front of his house. And this had been, I think, the second or third time I've been there for the exact same thing.
Right.
And I'm talking to this guy, and he's giving me I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, shoot that cow. They just roll the fucking M48, fucking smoke the cow. And I told the guy, if I have to come back here again, I'm going to shoot all your sheep, all your fucking cows. We're going to burn your fucking house down. And I got back in the vehicle. We left. We didn't take any more 4-inch mortar fire from that area. 3 weeks later, I get called into the colonel's office. And he's just like, hey, Sergeant Pop, do you know anything about this $500 check we just cut for a cow?
Did you just shoot a cow?
And I'm like, yeah, I was fucking pissed off. This motherfucker was covering for these dudes launching mortars into the prison. He goes, I understand. Next time, let's not execute any more cows. And that was it.
Hey, you know what, though? Fuck him, man. I got $500 for a cow to save my guys' lives.
Yeah.
How many guys did not get injured or possibly killed because you shot a cow? Fuck that guy.
I know. It is what it is.
It does the job.
I got yelled at. If you want to call that getting yelled at, it's more like a corrective talking to. Because I was doing my job pretty good.
Yeah, nobody died. A cow got shot. Okay, the guy's got to process the cow right there on the spot.
Yep.
So it's not really a terrible, terrible loss for the guy, but it makes the point.
Yeah.
So somebody in the chat says Cowschwitz.
Cowschwitz.
That's good stuff.
Where
were we? Let's go back to this fucking nightmare over here that is U.S. Code 50. And here's the part that I found just before you started into your little story. The commission is authorized to receive, adjudicate according to law, and provide for the payment of any claim filed by a prisoner of war for compensation for the violation by the enemy government by which he was held as a prisoner of war or its agents, or its obligation to furnish him the quantity or quality of food which he was entitled to as a prisoner of war under the Geneva Convention. Yes, there is a thing in the Geneva Convention on you must provide a certain amount of food and it must be of a certain quality to prisoners of war. That never happens in real life. You usually might get some sour rice and some fish soup if you're lucky. Get this, the compensation allowed to any prisoner of war under the provisions of this subsection shall be $1 per day he was held as a prisoner of war, on or which the enemy government or its agents failed to furnish him quality or quantity of food. So you get $1 a day for freaking BAH. That's nice.
This is a missed meal thing.
I say yes, it is. It is an indicator of just how ridiculous our government can be, because it's a missed meal law for prisoners of war.
Yep.
What the actual fuck? Compensation shall be allowed to any prisoner of war under the subsection at the rate of $1.50 per each day he was held as a prisoner of war, or which he alleges and proves in a manner acceptable to the commission the violation by such enemy governments or agents, and so on and so forth, inhumane treatment as defined. So you get $1.50 a day for being in the Whip Me Spank Me camp. That's nice to know. And this one scares me. Title of War Claims Act of 1948, and there is a category just for the Philippines. Now, anybody who served any time overseas and did any joint combined work at all know that the Navy chiefs all retired to the Philippines, where they each purchased 1 or 2 LBFMs and a large house. Little brown fornication machines, for those of you not familiar with. The commission is authorized to receive and determine, according to law, any individual who in or after 1941 was a member of the Naval Military Forces, survivor of... What is this? Oh, this is for the people who served in the Philippines to get restitution. Why there's a specific code for this, I do not know. But there was a lot of stuff. There was a death march in the Philippines.
Yeah, and the Japanese.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I have, when people talk about World War II and how we were overly cruel to the Japanese, I'm sorry. I don't think we're
the Japanese are the ones that we should all be talking about. The Nazis were relatively passive compared to the Japanese. And that's just a fact. Fucking deal with it. Oh, Fizz, look, here's my section. Electronic surveillance, physical searches, pen registers, and trap and trace devices for foreign intelligence purposes. Access to certain business records. Oversight. Oh, I wonder how many of these I've violated. Let's see here. Electronic surveillance definitions.
There's a whole fucking thing on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We had to go through this. We had classes on this. It's under a different title for us. It's called USAIDs. Yeah.
What are the criminal sanctions?
I will go there. A person is guilty of an offense if he intentionally engages in electronic surveillance under color of law, except as authorized by this chapter. Intentionally discloses or uses information obtained under color of law by electronic surveillance, knowing or having reason to know that the information was obtained through electronic surveillance, knowingly and willfully communicates, furnishes, transmits, or otherwise makes available to an unauthorized person, or publishes or uses in any manner prejudicial to the safety and interests of the United States. This is their standard NDA right here. This is where the NDAs are generated from. For the benefit of any foreign government to the detriment of the United States, etc. We sent somebody to.
So I could have gotten a lot of trouble for using the surveillance bag that I signed out from.
What surveillance bag?
When I found out, well, I was
what?
I understand. I'm just going to tell you the story.
Okay.
All right. So I had the gut feeling my old lady was stepping out on me, right? So I am in Chicago at 20th Group. I call home 5 o'clock. You know, my ex-wife answers the phone. I call back at 7. She answers the phone. I call back at 8 o'clock and there's a babysitter. And I knew exactly what was going on. And I was all fucking just beside myself. And our team daddy is like, you know, because I was kicking garbage cans and fucking swearing and just fucking going nuts. And he just walks in and goes, "What's going on, Sergeant Pop?" And I told him, I think my wife's cheating on me. He's like, "Oh, okay. Come with me." It's like, this is like so common. They have an SOP for this.
Yes.
Walks me into the supply room. And it's like, "Hey, Sergeant Pop's wife's stepping out. Can you give him the bag?" So they had it's a parachute parachute bag, right? And it had like one of those. Basically, it's a parabolic dish that had a laser on it, and you could point the laser at a window, and you could hear everything in there. Yes. There was some devices where I could actually intercept cell phone calls, and then there was a little sticker you can put on the top of the vehicle and actually get it tracked from space. Yeah, because they actually had their own satellite time. So, I mean, I literally tracked it was my car. I tracked it from space after that. And
that may or may not have been part of the Keyhole program.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I within 3 weeks, I pretty much knew everything. And I remember driving back there and turning in the equipment. And then it got real.
I can neither condone nor confirm any such activity, nor could I condone such activity had I any knowledge of it. You are not alone, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't share it with anyone other than my lawyer, but because he was just like, well, okay, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like you're going to win. It's no fault.
Yeah. There's, yep. Yeah. That gets excessive. You know what? This is you now know where Title 50 is and where it is. There is also Title 10. Let me bring 10 up. Which is General Military Laws, the Army, Navy, Marine Corps. And this covers all of the other stuff. Now, the gritty nuts and bolts of war and all the agreements and the deals and all of that shit fall under Title 50. But Title 10 is where all of what we did goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all of UCMJ and all of that stuff is. Army, for example, organizations, personnel, training, service, supply, and procurement. It's basically just one big operations order. Definitions,
and then there's Title 32.
Army staff, the Army itself. Yes.
Yeah, look up Title 32.
Text. 10 U.S. Code 32. Yep.
This is for National Guard.
Yeah, this is Nasty Guard. Drug interdiction and counter drug activities. They stuck it in there. That's interesting. But yeah, that's where all of the nuts and bolts are for war. If you want to see what makes everything run. Title 10, Title 32, Title 50 are the big three.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.